Okay, so a little bit more feedback on the why draw rather than write question. I think that one of the issues that quite a few of the students that I'm working with are facing is that they have learnt to follow more than they have learnt to lead, in the sense of leading their learning. And as a result, I think that's had a knock-on effect to the way that they imagine and the way that they see in their own mind's eye. And I think that's partly why there's this reaction to, well, surely it's quicker to write it, but if you're writing it, you're probably following pretty closely the information that was given to you. And it may not necessarily engage with your imagination. And if it's not engaging with your imagination, then it's just information, I would say, in comparison to where you're actually thinking about it, seeing it in your mind's eye, and imagining possibly beyond just the information that came at you. So with that in mind, I've been encouraging individuals to think about what is it that they are seeing when they receive information or when they're asked a question. What I've found is that I'm having to reduce the question down to something very personal and often away from the subject that really we want to be focusing on, because we're not yet ready to be able to imagine something that we don't have feeling for or have a way of accessing. So what we've been doing is focusing on memory and trying to focus on things that perhaps stay in our memory as a positive experience. And as a result of having that memory of an experience and being able to see it in our mind's eye, how does that translate down into an image? And even that, for some students, is really hard. How would I translate all of this, in a sense, film playing in my mind down to one image? So I really encourage you, if you are wanting to expand your visual capabilities, your imagination, or you're working with somebody who you believe really benefits from seeing things in visual terms, then it's really worth taking the time to think about, how do you see in your mind's eye? How do you imagine? And if need be, we need to go right back to square one and say, what can you see? And how can you translate that, whatever it is, down into visual terms? And then once that, in a sense, I call it the starter motor, once the starter motor is running, then hopefully the engine can run for itself, i.e. that muscle, that visual thinking muscle, will then start hopefully responding to information with a visual awareness that can then be translated down onto a piece of paper or onto the app. So it's, for some, quite a slow process just getting that ball rolling, but what I find is that they do see and feel the acceleration once they're underway, and they realize that there's freedom in that, because actually you're not having to think. It's more about, how do I as a whole person, how does my connection, my senses, inform my overall imagination, and how can I just translate that? And I think the point of this so often is that that is using a different part of the brain. And a lot of us do spend a lot of time in our left hemisphere, I think, thinking, because that's what's required of us, certainly in learning and also in communication, in certainly in Western world terms. And so for all of us, I think it's a really good experience to activate right hemisphere activity and see what the right hemisphere side of our brain has to say and has to offer us instinctually once it's there. And what if it was there all along? What if those images were available to us, easy to draw down, but just weren't there to see because our left hemisphere had been filtering that out and saying, we don't need that. So be encouraged. Doodling for information translation terms is a really good activity to do. What are you feeling? How does that translate into an image? What are you wanting to store with an image? And if you need help with this, we have the tools to give you to help you accelerate that experience and help you to then be able to use Footnotes for the really important things that perhaps are going on in your life, the pressures, passing exams, being able to remember what you're learning, working out what you're wanting to present, whether it's in a work setting, that kind of thing. So we look forward to hearing from you, working with you, because it is a community. So sharing with one another your experience is a really important part of being connected with the Footnotes community. Follow the link below to find out more or to get in touch with us. We look forward to connecting with you.